Coming up this week, but all things are possible with God. Hello everyone and welcome to Sunday Spoilers. It's a great chance for us to prepare our hearts for worship. We know how important worship is. Worship is a time for us to be connected to each other, to be connected with God. It's a chance for us to celebrate the goodness of God. And as we go into worship, we know that we can be prepared. Be prepared for what God has to say to us. Be prepared for the direction that God leads to us. This is a time for us to think a little bit, prepare ourselves a little bit, hope a little bit about what God is doing in our lives. We're continuing our season of Lent and continuing this series during this season of the greatest buts of the Bible. And there's all kinds of times where God shifts our perspectives, where God shows us things that we hadn't seen before, that shows us there's new ways of doing things, where he basically in a sentence says, you are doing this, but here's what I say. Here's something new to see. Here's a new way to be. And this week we're going to be looking at, but all things are possible with God. Now we talk a lot about our brokenness. We talk a lot about our sin, our separation from God. We talk a lot about that deep kind of feeling of being not connected. That's a part of our walk of life. That's a part of what faith is, that we're trying to deepen that sense of connection to God. We're trying to develop that faith and mature in our faith to feel that connection to God. But there are a lot of times, I think, in life where we feel like there's a lot of things we can do. I think we sometimes rely on ourselves quite a bit to be able to accomplish things. You know, look at who we are as the human race and what we've been able to do just over the centuries that we've been on this planet. The progress that we've made, the innovations that we've had, the ways that we've come up with new ideas and new ways of doing things. And we can get into a place where we feel like we can do whatever we need to do. We can rely on our own strength. We can rely on our own ideas and abilities. But sometimes I think we get stuck. Sometimes I think we realize we run into a situation where we cannot. No matter how hard we try, no matter how hard we try to think our way through it, no matter how much effort we put into it, we just get stuck. I think that connection to God, that idea of salvation and forgiveness as a gift that God has given to us, is one of those things that we can get stuck with because we think sometimes we can save ourselves. Sometimes we think we don't need God. Sometimes we think that we're fine just as we are, thank you very much, and we don't need to have that extra help. The text we're going to be looking at this Sunday is from the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 19, verses 23 through 26. Listen to what Jesus has to say to his disciples. Then Jesus said to his disciples, "Truly I tell you, it is hard for someone who is rich to enter the kingdom of heaven. Again I tell you, it is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for someone who is rich to enter the kingdom of God." When the disciples heard this, they were greatly astonished and asked, "Who then can be saved?" Jesus looked at them and said, "With man this is impossible, but with God all things are possible." And there's our but for this week. But with God all things are possible. Now this text is talking specifically about a rich person and someone who is rich and being able to be connected to God. But I think there's a greater lesson here, that in many ways we are rich in our thoughts. We are rich with our abilities. We are rich with all the things that we can do. And sometimes we think we have all the stuff that we need to be able to have that connection to God. And Jesus is trying to say here, we need God. God is the one who saves us. God is the one who offers us that forgiveness. God is the one who promises us this amazing life. We can do our part. We can get to a certain point, but we can't fully get into that full relationship with God without God doing that for us, without God giving us that gift. So between now and Sunday, think about some times in your life, or maybe even some things going on presently, ways that you rely on yourself. And maybe don't rely on God enough. Think of those times where maybe you just need to step aside and allow God to lead. Allow God to show you the path. Allow God to be that presence in your life. Where can we take those steps aside to allow God to walk in front of us and take us on that journey? I look forward greatly to seeing you all on Sunday, whether we see you online or whether we see you in person. I look forward to celebrating and worshiping with all of you. Take care, everyone. Have a good week.